I came from France in 1948 because I needed to understand Americans. And so I had a master's degree, and I ended up in Chicago and just wanted to get a job, you know, in a bar or something. Then I realized the reputation of French women. So, and my English was not that good. And so when my friends, because I had been a leader of the young Christian students in France, so they said, why don't you go to the University of Chicago? We have a superb university. Oh, I said, I'm too old for going back to school and all that. But they insisted, and I discovered that the sociology department was exactly the place where I needed to become a good field worker. That was the main orientation of the department there. 12 years of the same chair, you see, was a little hard on younger professors who had a lot to contribute and whom she had hired, all of them, and me. And so they developed from our work in common a new view of what could be the program of that experimental college. And they wanted her to become dean so that she wouldn't be working on the programs, you know, on her program in social science. And so when I met President Silber, who was just being hired as president of Boston University, I told him that I and two colleagues would be available, as he was hiring people who were renewing the life at Boston University. And that's when we came to Boston University, 1971, the fall of 1971. The dean had a team of 10 or 12 faculty members on whom he counted to be sufficiently sane of mind and not you know, delivered to some ideology to try to break any kind of actual, you know, action on the part of the. For instance, one of us was a physicist who knew how to get students to start walking around, you know, the way it's supposed to do. And it is where I noticed Elizabeth Barker, who was member of that team, you see. But I lost track of her from 1972 till 1990. So she asked me what I'm doing because she remembers me from 1972 service. So, I said, I'm teaching a class in Metropolitan College, you know, to people who are employed. I had invented a beautiful course in the CLA, the liberal arts. So she said, oh, would you teach in our prison program? I said, I forgot that you were you were working for it. I said, how is it going? So she said that she had already graduate students who would need some interdisciplinary seminars, and since I had all this experience in interdisciplinary teaching, she would put me in charge of that. Oh, I said, wait a minute, that was probably November 1990. I say I can start next fall because I have to be ready, you know. And she had a job for me in January of 1991. So it was almost the day of my getting to be 70. Oh, I knew nothing about the whole system, you know, any of the prejudices and all that the media, you know, keep alive. I was sharing when I spoke to, I don't know in what role he was, but he explained to me that at Norfolk, which was a medium security, we had people who had committed very severe crimes, but we were not considered as too dangerous to be put in a medium security. But I was a little afraid of being, of coming. And then what surprised me most was when she invited me in the fall of 1990, when I saw her submit to all the things, you know, getting off your shoes and, you know, being sure that you were obeying the rules of how to dress and all that. And I've always seen her as a person ready to resist the authority, you know. What we are teaching at Norfolk is liberal arts. And the metropolitan students usually are not there to become transformed by what they are learning. I shouldn't say that, not all, but a great deal of what they want is to get an additional degree in order to get perhaps a better job or, you know, some improvement in their status. But so what they expect from the professor is limited. Whereas the students here, many of them have everything to discover about the whole field of knowledge, you know. And they will tell you, you know, one became, you know, completely astonished and delighted when he discovered that there was a science that was studying the ocean where he used to swim, you know, and with no notion that there was something to be known there, you see. And this student, as an inmate, kept sufficiently abreast of the work on the brain, so because he was trying to figure out how to develop his relationship with a fellow inmate who had had a bad accident that had impaired, you know, his mind, and he managed to improve the ability of this student to continue in the BU program and graduate. It took him a lot of time, but he did. And many of our students needed that discovery in themselves of the ability to think. In order to get them to recognize that to do the work that was needed in order to overcome all their lacks, you know, their lack of training, and then absorb the content, you know, of a college course. They needed to do a lot of work, and that I would provide them with all the assignments necessary in reading and writing. And so I got a reputation of being very, very demanding. And the story is that a lot of my students dropped out. But my books don't show, because I have the list of all my students, my books don't show as if it were half the class that, no, it might be 2 or 3, but I think that it was experienced by the ones that stayed as a signal that perhaps they should do the same thing, or that they should be determined, you know. The first one was One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich by Solzhenitsyn. He had, for me as a field worker, he had told the story of that one day in the prison camp in the Siberia, you know, where the Gulag was in full bloom, that he made you feel for what it was to be there, and he had 2 or 3 different types of people who were responding to the system, what was imposed on them, in a way that made them help them survive or not. It was very well written. I thought it was a good example of that, and also of the quality of the details that he chose. But some students said, you know, we need to learn about more than prison, more than prisons, okay? So it was almost a repeat of what my students who had a job, you know, had said about not reflections about work experience. So I said, okay, I understand. Don't wait till you're out to feel that you can use your freedom. Talk with, you know, people who might have something to help you with, you know, whether it's, you know, I'm very much for students auditing our course. I think it's a wonderful thing that they can keep in touch with people. So we, I think, have a responsibility to be open to students who might feel that we have something that we're not teaching, but where we could be of some help.